look, I am excited tonight. I hope that we keep the same sort of festive nature, the festive spirit. I hope that continues throughout. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have fun tonight. So the goal is to not be stuffy, boring, award ceremony, but it's to have a lot of fun. And if you need a little liquid courage to help you have more fun, now is the time to do that. All right, so good evening, everyone. I am Rahim Biyah, Dean of Engineering and Southern Company Chair. Welcome to the College of Engineering's 27th Alumni Awards induction ceremony. It is a great joy to be together this evening, reconnecting with each other and also celebrating the achievements of our eminent award winners. I also look forward to the special night and connecting with you, as many of you as I can. Of course, I'm excited to share with you some of the things that we've done, but first let me remind you or tell you what has not changed. Our College of Engineering remains the largest, the most diverse, and absolute best College of Engineering in the galaxy. Yeah. My aerospace team, they inform me of that, right? And so that is definitely true. It has been an incredible year. Right now, according to the U.S. News and World Report national rankings, the college is third in the nation among undergraduate programs and fifth among graduate programs. This is the first time since Atlanta hosted the Olympics, 1996, right? That we were number 3. I was actually in undergrad at the time, which I just realized, like, wow, I'm getting kind of old, I think. ISYE is number 1 in grad and undergrad. It's been a few decades. And BME, for the first time, is number 1 in grad and undergrad. Rankings only tell a part of the story. It's been filled with, the last year's been filled with a Moonshot Cancer Awards, National Academy of Engineering selections, a lunar landing, and much, much more. Perhaps nothing was bigger than the announcement that we made last week, and that separates us from all of our peers when it comes to artificial intelligence. Take a look at the year that was.
This room seems unremarkable. It could be one of 1,000 in Atlanta filled with servers and computer hardware. This server room is different, though. This is the future, where the next generation of engineering education is taking shape. And yet the students who will benefit from the powerful tools in this room will never step foot inside. Welcome to Georgia Tech's new AI makerspace. These racks hold some of the world's most powerful processors, the kind needed to develop and test new artificial intelligence algorithms and applications. And soon, any Georgia Tech student will be able to log on, experiment, and code the future. Thanks to a collaboration with NVIDIA, we're bringing our first AI makerspace online, putting the power of AI into the hands of our undergrads for classes, team projects, and almost any idea they can dream up. That's what we do at Georgia Tech. We don't wait for the future and adapt. We dream the future. We design the future. We build it. This year, we also created a core AI curriculum that's infused throughout our programs, and we built a new AI minor, an extra level of study that will give our graduates an extra edge. With and beyond AI, people are always our priority. We're leading White House-backed projects that will change the way cancer is treated, like a one-size-fits-all cancer test that will let doctors detect almost any form of the disease earlier than ever before, or an mRNA toolbox that could turn genes on or off to help the immune system fight cancer and other chronic diseases. Our algorithms helped an American spacecraft land softly on the moon for the first time since the Apollo era. Work in our labs is moving us closer to a new kind of solar panel that will be cheaper and far more efficient at capturing the sun's energy. And we're working to make the yearly flu shot not so yearly by taking a new approach that could lead to a universal and long-lasting flu vaccine. Meanwhile, the National Academy of Engineering welcomed 2 more members from our ranks this year. travel behavior scholar Patricia Bakhtarian, and chemical separation expert David Shull. We celebrated new leaders for our Keystone programs for women and underrepresented minority students in engineering. And a familiar face took on a new role as leader of our aerospace engineering school. So our college has changed a lot in the last year, and will keep on changing to ensure our work and the next generation of Yellow Jackets is ready to meet the challenges of a changing world. But some things will never change. We'll always be dedicated to serving all people in all communities. We'll always be committed to creativity, innovation, and improving the human condition. And we'll always be home for those who proudly proclaim they're a rambling, gambling hell of an engineer.
And the year that was brings us to tonight, where we recognize alums that embody the spirit of our profession in our college, which is to dare, to dream, and of course, to do. Our honorees span more than 60 years. The earliest graduation year was 1959, and the most recent, 2021. While more than half a century separates these individuals, there's one thing that they certainly have in common. They are each a hell of an engineer. The span of years doesn't really matter. Our shared Georgia Tech experience and some pain brings us together tonight. Just some pain, not a lot. We'll get to our new inductees shortly, but let's pause to recognize former honorees with us this evening. Please stand so that we may give you a round of applause if you are a former honoree. I see a bunch. We have some other very special guests with us tonight that I want to recognize. I'll ask for you to stand briefly when I say your name. And I'll let you finish chewing, Mr. President. All right. First and foremost, we are pleased to be joined by our president, Angel Cabrera. He's in his 5th academic year as our leader. The pandemic was nothing to this president, and I have it on good authority that these have been the easiest 5 years of his entire professional career. Also want to thank Dr. Beth Cabrera, the president's boss, who's also a double jacket. Beth, thank you for coming. Speaking of boss, my favorite current boss is right here, Steve McLaughlin. Steve was a dean of engineering from 2017 to 2020. Thank you for being here, Steve, and more importantly, thank you for getting promoted and vacating this position. I kind of like it. This is kind of fun. Shawi Abdallah is Georgia Tech's Executive Vice President for Research. And my favorite former boss, not old boss, former boss, he leads our research enterprise, and his wife, Catherine, who is his much better half. And double jacket. Also in attendance is, I believe, Shantae Bolton, Executive Vice President for Administration and Finance and Chief Business Officer. I think she's here. I don't know if I see Shantae. I don't see. She maybe not here tonight. Maybe. Well, if you see her, if you run into her, what's really important. This is her first year. If you see her, make sure you are extremely nice to her, because she holds all the money for the institute. All right. So tell her that she's awesome, and just tell her, engineering needs a little bit more help. Okay. So when you see her, do that. All right. Also, we have other institute-level leaders. I'm seeing a few right now. If you could stand and be recognized, please. Vice presidents, deans. All right, thank you. So those of you that find yourself in leadership roles, you really are only as successful as your team allows you to be. And that is certainly true for me as dean. And so please give me a few minutes to recognize some of those leaders that work with me very closely. And so the associate deans, if you all could please stand and be recognized as a group. The other group of really important folks that work hard to ensure that your Georgia Tech investment continues to appreciate is our 8 school chairs in the College of Engineering. If you all could please stand and be recognized. Yeah. And a special shout out to Edwin Romaine, who has led ISYE for 10 stellar years. And Edwin stepping down at the end of his tenure. Thank you for your service, my friend. You've done an excellent job. We also have several current and former board members in the House, and this group is extremely valuable to me in terms of giving me support and giving me advice. If you all are here, please stand and be recognized. All right, so now it's time for just a little bit more bragging. I got to do a commercial. I brought you all the way out here, right? We got to do that. We remain the largest college of engineering in the country, and there are approximately 18,500 students in the College of Engineering, which is pretty insane. Our largest school is ISYE, and that's primarily because of the online Masters in Analytics program. It's about 6,000 students in that program. If you remove that group, the largest school is mechanical engineering. If it's solely, it's a rowdy bunch. All right, it's MEs. So in this role, I get a chance to travel all across the world and to spend time with alums that graduated 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. And the common thing, the common statement that I get from them is, I got out in this thing, right? This year, right? I got out. Well, I think the next generation of alums, the subsequent generations, are probably going to be focused more on getting in and when they got in, and if, fortunately, they did get in. Last year, we had 52,000 applications for 3,800 slots. Yeah, you glad you got in when you did? So am I. This year, we had 60,000 applications for 3,900 slots. Totally insane. And so the Georgia Tech degree continues to continues to be valued across the world. 40% of our admitted engineering students were women. I can't continue without talking about research. My former boss, who's head of research, would kill me if I did. Research awards, they continue to trend up. Last year, we had almost $300 million in research. Yeah, that deserves applause. That's a big deal. To put it in perspective, we normally have about a $5 million increase per year. Last year, we had $30 million increase, right? Big, big deal. As you saw in the video, 2 of this year's grants were tied to the White House's Cancer Moonshot Initiative, and that totaled about $74 million, of course, in BME. All right, you guys are finally catching on, all right? Yeah. We're not going to be stuffy. We're going to have a little fun tonight. All right, now since you asked, speaking of dollars, we are in a capital campaign. Jen Howe is smiling, smiling, smiling. We are in a $2 billion capital campaign. We are more than halfway through our Transforming Tomorrow campaign, both in time and, fortunately, in dollars, and we plan to wrap up the campaign in 2027. The Institute is at about $1.2 billion pledged, and so if we can get $800 million a night, the president can take the next 3 years off. Yeah. I tried, Mr. President. I tried. The college is about 70% toward our goal of $565 million. And we are actually tracking to exceed that goal by $80 million. And I intend to do it. That's probably not a wise statement to make with my two bosses here. I don't know. That's not good. And this is being recorded. All right. It's a deep fake. All right. So our campaign initiatives are centered on a few overall themes. Two of them are research and infrastructure, and this includes expanding and reimagining our student maker spaces, as well as a new facility, a brand new building for our #2 ranked aerospace engineering program. As you saw, Mitchell Walker, who's a former associate dean, became the chair of aerospace. When we met during his interview, he said, all right, what does success look like? Oh, it's easy. #1, and let's stay there, and a new building, right? So no pressure. Mitchell's there, and he's taking collections right there, so feel free to hang out with aerospace. The majority of our campaign, though, however, is focused on our people. It's an investment in our people. And that means increased funding for endowed chairs and early career professorships, because frankly, to recruit and retain our best faculty, the best folks in the world, it is a full contact sport. I'm having conversations every other week to fend off folks from MIT and Stanford, other places that really want to poach our faculty members. So it's a full contact sport. It also means fellowships for our graduate students who truly are the research engine for the Institute. All the folks that stood up, the associate deans and the school chairs, they all have very active research programs in addition to the leadership role. I have a kind of active research program. But those graduate students are the ones, their graduate students right now are probably in the lab doing the work. And so we have to support our graduate students at a level that's competitive. We are losing some of the absolute best students. Yes, that deserves a clap. Is that Nancy, I think? Yep. Oh, no, that's not. No, it's Lisa. All right. Yeah. Reminding me to pay you for that when we get done. But we truly are losing some of the best students to places that are nowhere near as strong as we are, and mainly to small privates that have significant resources. And so we need support there. And finally, the campaign is about improving access to students, which is really important to me. Anyone that is qualified and that is accepted, that competes with 60,000 other students and is accepted, they should come to Georgia Tech, and it should be independent of their parents' incomes, right? And so our goal, and it's the president's goal, is to increase access, to make sure that we remain this sort of elite institution that is not elitist, right? That we are sticking with who we've been for, over 100 years. And so we gotta make sure that we support our students so they can come to Georgia Tech. If you look around, there are a number of Dean Scholars here tonight helping us with this event. Some had full rides to go to other places, but we were able to bring them to Georgia Tech because of our Dean Scholars program, which gives about a $10K a year enrichment, as well as scaffolding, which I like to call it, or co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities. We've actually modeled that program somewhat after the Clark Scholars Program, which you're going to hear a little bit about later this evening. I am grateful for those of you who have played a role in this campaign to date. As I mentioned, we are 70% of the way toward the college, $165 million to go. And if you can't meet the president's $800 million, we're on sale, $165. If you can do that, then I get to take the next 2.5, 3 years off. I truly need your help. Our students and our faculty, we need your help. Participating in the campaign means supporting the current and future generations of engineering leaders. It is our obligation to help them become much more successful than we are. Someday we will honor them at this event, but first we got to make sure that they have an opportunity to begin their journey. With that, it is time to turn our attention to the remainder of the program. Now I am pleased to announce our guest host for tonight, the person who will guide us through the evening, Tom Fanning. All right. Somebody likes their lights being on, Tom. That's good. So Tom Fanning earned a bachelor's and master's from Georgia Tech, and a few years ago was awarded an honorary doctorate, and last year he was inducted into the Engineering Hall of Fame. He recently retired as chairman, president, and CEO of the Southern Company after 4 decades of service to the energy company's 9 million customers. Over those years, Tom touched almost every corner of the business, working in 15 different positions across finance, strategy, technology, and more. Along the way, he became a national and international leader in energy and, of course, cybersecurity. He served as the co-chair of a key industry group that works closely with the federal government to protect the electric grid from cybersecurity attacks. He also led the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's Cybersecurity Advisory Committee, it's a mouthful, providing recommendations on the development and refinement of the nation's cybersecurity programs and policies. Here at home, Tom served as chair and member of the Federal Reserve of Atlanta Board of Directors. He sits on Scheller's Business Advisory Board and is Georgia Tech Foundation trustee. We are putting him to work. And beyond all that, he's a trusted partner and champion for the college and long time supporter. It's my great pleasure to, even in retirement, introduce you to the most powerful man I know. Okay, y'all got that, right? Good.
Thank you, man. All yours, my friend. Awesome. Let's give it up for Raheem. I want a standing ovation here. Come on, get up. Let's go. Let's go. Raheem, let's go. Yeah. I mean, that guy's fabulous. And I want to also note Angel Cabrera, the best college president in America today. In fact, my little short remarks, those of you that know me from Southern, I can go on for hours. I promised I would be economic here this evening. But I'm going to steal something you said. We had many occasions to be together here recently, and something you said stuck with me, and I want to challenge us all with a little bit of it. You know, it's why are we here? And I think that the folks that we're going to honor tonight have so much to be proud of and have contributed so much, and it really is an acknowledgement of their wonderful accomplishments. But I think more than that is the notion that they serve to spur our imagination and to inspire us. We ask ourselves, why did they get this award? And what I want to do is bring back an accountability. What I always say is that we're not passive as we listen. We always engage, and we always play offense wherever we can. As you listen to the honorees tonight, I want you not just to celebrate what they've done, but also take a moment to really understand what that means for you. See, when I think about leadership at Southern, you won't believe this, but we do a ton of psychological analysis. And you say, well, how the hell did you get that job? Which is a good question. But one of my characteristics is, look, I get the here and now, but I've always been interested in the what may be. And what I think we're going to recognize tonight is these folks have done a lot, the here and now. What they have accomplished so far is great. Where will they take it from here? But what does that mean for you? What does that mean in terms of imagining a better future, in terms of inspiring behavior in others? See, what we don't realize as human beings probably is that everything we say or do matters to somebody. And we have enormous personal power that is unimaginable to you as you sit in your seat right now. You touch so many people's hearts, and that is the most powerful thing you can do in life. And what can you do to leverage your personal power to make things better? And so when you think about these honorees, think about, oh yeah, I could do that, or I could do something better. I can carry this forward. I can make this place better. When we talk about leadership at Southern, we always got to say, oh yeah, you got to be accountable for getting up in the morning, and you wake up and you say, son of a gun. I'm sure this doesn't happen at Tech, but it happened at Southern. You get out of bed and you go, those guys are so stupid. Right? Mike, that happens, right? And you just got to realize that you have those valleys in life. You got to have the fire in your belly to get up and make today better than yesterday and tomorrow better than today, and get back in the game and play as hard as you can and bring people forward. That's a personal accountability. And using your talents to fashion something out of that is important. But I think as you rise up in leadership and you rise up in contribution, you think about this idea of responsibility for team. Over my career, we have lots of, he mentioned, I did 15 different jobs, all that other stuff, and we also do other assignments. I was the head of the graduate business school recruitment program. And you get these guys and you interview them, and they're from Harvard and Wharton and Chicago, and they always tell you they want to go do strategy or they want to do this or that. They don't talk about the team. They're elitists. One of the things that I think, and we are of any university, Georgia Tech has the highest level of Southern Company employees. We love people from Tech because they get team. They get commitment to duty. They get how to work together in a very rigorous way. And so that's one of the things that I think earmarks Georgia Tech grads. And certainly that's true in the College of Engineering. The final thing, though, and as Raheem was talking, he mentioned, oh yeah, I chaired the Federal Reserve Bank here in Atlanta. I did the advisory board of the big Fed during the turnover of Janet Yellen to Jay Powell, and I do all this national security work now. And how can you do that? One of the convictions we have at Southern is this idea that the community has to be better off because we're there. I think Georgia Tech shares that same ideal. The state of Atlanta, the state of Georgia, America, the world must be better off because of the contributions that Georgia Tech grads can give. That is an accountability. It's not an option. And so when we say that, we say we must be citizens wherever we serve. The communities must be better off because we're there. And we call that taking responsibility for the enterprise. The enterprise isn't you or your family, it's the community. It's not your business unit, it's not your company, it's the industry, or it's American commerce, or it's a greater sense of well-being in the world. Remember the book that Thomas Friedman wrote, The World is Flat? The world ain't flat, fellas. Especially now. In my national security work, we're at risk greater than in my experience living here in America. And so we've all got to work together. And when you think about divisiveness in the political realm, we've got to create a constructive middle. I think we can do that as business people, as academicians, as professional leaders in society, to get both sides to come together and react to something positive. And I think that's what the leaders that we're celebrating tonight have already done for us. They've created something that we can look at and go, yeah, that is a great thing, and we honor them. But I think moreover, I want them to know that they are honored not for what they have done, but for the inspiration, the imagination, the vision, and the courage they can give each of us in this room to take the accountability to be better for ourselves, for our teams, and for the enterprise, however you define it. And so for that reason, I want to honor you all. You give us a great gift tonight, not just what you have done, but what you can inspire all of us in this room to do, and all the people we touch to do going forward. So now, we're going to take a short pause. Short pause to enjoy dinner. Raheem and I will be back to hand out the Dean's Impact Award and celebrate our young engineers and distinguished alumni awards. Everyone, have a nice dinner. Well, good evening once again, and I hope you're enjoying dinner and having a lot of fun at your tables. It's my pleasure to get the ceremony started with the first award, the College of Engineering's Dean's Impact Award. Raheem. The gavel is yours. We need a gavel.
All right. How's dinner? Yeah. I love the chewing. It's good. It's good. Yeah. All right. In 2017, we decided to establish an award to recognize our alums who are tackling critical challenges across the globe. And the Dean's Impact Award winners embrace engineering as a people business, a calling that builds community and has worldwide impact. I have the great pleasure of presenting tonight's Dean's Impact Award to Fixed, a company founded by John Gattuso and Fred Grimm. It's the success story of Georgia Tech's CreateX program. John is a 2015 mechanical engineering grad, and Frederick is a 2014 industrial engineering grad. They have built a platform that eases the stress of car problems, which we all need. They developed a sensor and an app that reads the diagnostic data available in any car manufactured since 1996. Remember that year? We talked about it earlier. It's going to be a quiz after this. Their app offers insights in simple, understandable terms, so when users go to the dealer or to the repair shop, they won't be ripped off. Already, they have sold more than 3 million sensors, and completed a staggering 100 million scans, giving millions of drivers tools and resources that save money and also make their lives easier. John, Frederick, please come on up, gents.
Hey everybody, I'm John Gattuso,
I'm Frederick Grimm.
and we are the co-founders of Fixed. As Dean Bea told us, we make a device that plugs into your car, and whenever you have a problem, we tell you in simple and understandable terms what's wrong.
We were the guinea pigs of the CreateX program when it started, 10 years ago, I guess
Yeah.
now? Yeah, so we were one of the first startup groups that went through. We had a lot of support and help from Georgia Tech, and we've been riding that wave ever since.
And so we wanted to just have a couple thanks. We wanted to thank Dr. Bea, Dr. McLaughlin, Chris Klaus, Siva, and countless others who made CreateX what it is today. They had a vision, and they took a leap of faith to start CreateX and to make it into what it is today. And without them, we wouldn't be here.
When we started our company, we were still students in school. We had absolutely no clue what we were doing. We thought at the time that if you built a really cool product, people would just flock to you and they would buy it. And we were about as wrong as humanly possible.
We quickly found from our mentors that when everybody will tell you your idea is cool, but the moment you ask them for money is the moment that you will really find if your solution is worth anything.
Especially your family and friends. They'd be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And then it's like, will you buy it?
And so we took that to heart. We took these lessons of customer discovery, and we just walked around Midtown into Piedmont Park, asking people about their check engine light, asking people what problems they had with their cars. And then at the end of the conversation, we would pull out a square reader and ask them to buy it.
And it was really hard because we were a bunch of nerdy little engineers, and we had to get out there and talk to real people and ask them to pay money for our product. But it was really helpful because our mentors, they wouldn't let us quit. They said, get back out there, keep trying. You guys have got this, and we believe in you.
And that DNA has carried itself through the history of our company over the last 10 years, through the millions of devices that we've sold and the hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue that we've been able to generate, all because these people encouraged us to get out, talk to these customers, and make an impact.
And our goal now is to help the next generation of Georgia Tech entrepreneurs. And that's why we're committed to actively mentoring and giving as much guidance as we can to new students who are trying to start their own companies. We want to offer any help that we can for anyone that's embarking on their own entrepreneurial journey, just as we were supported by this institution.
We feel indebted to those who came before us, and so we want to give of our time, we want to give of our talent, and we want to give of our resources, to enable the next generation of Georgia Tech entrepreneurs to create things bigger than what we've been able to create. And so once again, wanted to thank everybody for this incredible honor. We're proud to be part of a Georgia Tech legacy, and go Jackets.
Go Jackets.
And to hell with Georgia.
All right, thank you, John and Frederick. The college will also make a donation to Fix as you continue your work. Tom, it's all yours, sir.
So now let's turn our attention to 8 of the newest members of the Council of Outstanding Young Engineering Alumni. The Council of Outstanding Young Engineering Alumni honors rising stars who are starting to build legacies for the future. The Council recognizes alumni who, at an early stage in their career, have distinguished themselves through professional practice and/or service to Georgia Tech, to the engineering profession, or to society at large. We are fortunate to recognize them for what they have done, but I have a feeling that their most significant accomplishments are yet to come. To help with these awards and other honors throughout the night, the college is pleased to welcome one of our outstanding students, Larica Sherry, an industrial and systems engineering undergrad from Port St. Lucie, Florida. Where is Larica? There she is. She's coming. Isn't that? Larica is one of our Clark Scholars, a group you'll hear more about later this evening. She wants to specialize in data science and analytics, leveraging data for the greater good of the world. She's already making a mark on campus and beyond, getting involved in the Yellow Jacket Space Program and the Black Industrial Engineers at Tech Student Organization. Last year, she served as a No Kid Hungry Youth Ambassador. Please welcome Larica.
Good evening. I'm honored to be here and proud to be a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech and a hell of an engineer. To get to know our tonight's young engineering honorees, we asked each to answer one of these 3 questions. What was your most memorable or rewarding experience at Georgia Tech? What words of advice would you give to a current student? And how has tech impacted your career? We'll share the reflections as we honor them. Honorees, as your name is called, please come to the banner side of the stage to accept your award and take a photo. Then, please proceed to the rec where we'll take a group photo. Our first new council member is Rob Manino, who earned his bachelor's and PhD in BME. Rob said his career would not have been possible without his Georgia Tech experience, adding, "I discovered my passion for research at Tech, and I've been able to make that research my career since I left. Although, I can't really say that I truly left, as my company currently rents laboratory space in the ATDC wing of the Ford building." Congratulations to Rob Manino. Next, please welcome Andrew Miller, who received his bachelor's and master's in civil engineering and a PhD in mechanical engineering. Andrew offered this advice to students: put yourself out there in both your professional and personal life. Go to networking events, join clubs, participate and be a part of a community. Step outside your comfort zone, meet people and just do things. You never know where you might find your next inspiration or opportunity. Congratulations to Andrew Miller. Our next inductee is Shweta Natarajan, a 2009 and 2012 double jacket in mechanical engineering. Shweta also had some advice for students, saying they should aim high and be audaciously ambitious. Focus all of your energies towards your goals and passions because Georgia Tech opens a plethora of opportunities. Congratulations, Shweta Natarajan. Now let's welcome 2009 Chibi graduate, Ashley Newton. Ashley said her most rewarding experiences at Tech were the volunteer opportunities available to students on campus and in downtown Atlanta. Volunteering through Hands On Atlanta and leading the Team Buzz event her senior year were formative experiences where she could see the positive impact people can have on their community and themselves by donating their time and working together. Congratulations, Ashley Newton. Our next honoree is Nick Otto, who earned his electrical engineering bachelor's in 2005. Nick wanted to offer this advice to current students. Take in every single experience at Georgia Tech as an opportunity to learn, network, fail, succeed, evolve, and whatever else you encounter. The preparation that Tech provides you for the world is unmatched. Congratulations to Nick Otto. Next up is a triple jacket in materials science and engineering, David Safransky. David wants to share some well-earned advice for current students. Here's what he says. I've adopted an older saying, trust but verify. I say this to my cooperative learning students and to students in my classroom because I want them to learn from the past as a basis of knowledge, yet also question the status quo. They should check things out for themselves to see if they make sense. They should get involved and figure out issues on their own. They need to dig in and understand the why of what's going on. This serves as a guide to more questions, then discovery, and eventually innovation. Congratulations, David Safransky. Our next honoree is Isabella Thavi Sanders, who has four graduate degrees from Georgia Tech, including a master's in operations research and an industrial engineering PhD. Isabella wants to tell current students to remember who helped them get to Georgia Tech. Here's what she said. The peers, coaches, teachers, and family members who supported you helped shape who you are today. As a student, you can give back by helping shape the next generation. Take advantage of service opportunities. You could mentor underclassmen in your major or help run outreach events for local elementary schools. You never know how one conversation or event could inspire others. Congratulations, Isabella Thavi Sanders. And our eighth and final honoree is Clayton Tino, another triple jacket with degrees in aerospace engineering. Clayton shared how Georgia Tech impacted his career, saying, "My time at Tech taught me to embrace adversity, which I continue as I grow into my career, has helped me develop into a more effective engineer and leader. Being able and willing to tackle challenging problems has afforded me a number of uncommon opportunities and changed the trajectory of my career from what I envisioned after earning my PhD. More importantly, it has helped me foster positive cultures within the organizations I lead, despite the headwinds that often challenge early-stage businesses. Congratulations, Clayton Tino."
So once again, everyone, let's congratulate our Council of Outstanding Young Engineering Alumni. And now what we're going to do is turn to the Academy of Distinguished Engineering Alumni. Members of this group are deeper in their careers and leadership responsibilities. The Academy this year recognizes 9 alumni who have made significant contributions to the profession, field, institute, or society more broadly. They are actively making a difference, and yet they have already made their mark as senior leaders in engineering, management, industry, academia, or government. I'll turn things back over to Larika to announce our new Academy members.
You all know how diverse your career path can be when you have a Georgia Tech engineering degree. These individuals and their work are clear examples of that. And like our young alumni, we asked each of our honorees to answer one of three questions. What is your favorite Georgia Tech tradition and why? What was the best decision you made as a student, and what was the worst decision you made as a student? They've each recorded a short message, so we'll hear their thoughts in their own voices. Honorees, as your name is called, please come to the banner side of the stage to accept your award. After the photo, please proceed to the Rec 4 group photo. Our first distinguished alumna is a double jacket and ISYE Master's graduate student, Rita Breen.
The best decision I made as a student is to...
There were 3 girls on Merkmar High School's math team in my class, and all 3 came to Georgia Tech. Despite hearing the look to your left and look to your right, all 3 graduated. I'm grateful for both of my degrees, and especially grateful for experiences outside of class, which taught me about life and continue to be a source of happy memories. Joining a sorority gave me the sisterhood I needed. Working multiple jobs as a restaurant hostess, a fitness instructor, an RA, a calculus TA, and an IBM co-op enabled me to pay for my own education, something that many first-generation Americans like me had to do. Getting involved with Executive Roundtable and ODK taught me about organizational and leadership skills, including how to run a board. Making lifelong friends through all of these experiences was absolutely the best part of Georgia Tech, and still is today.
Another industrial engineering graduate is our next honoree. Please congratulate R. Scott Aaron.
Well, it would take me too long to sort through all the candidates for worst decision I made as a student at Tech, so I'll go with the best decision, and it's pretty clear to me. It wasn't just the best decision I made at Tech, it was the best decision I've made in my life, and that was asking my wife, Ann, to marry me. And I asked her right as I was approaching graduation. She was a year behind me. Right as I was approaching graduation, I already had a job not far from Atlanta, and over the last 39 plus years, she has been my best friend, a great advisor, obviously parent to, along with me, to our 3 now adult children, someone that makes me laugh all the time, and has traveled the world with me in pursuit of my career, and has just been one of the bright spots of my entire life.
Now, let's welcome to the stage AE alumna Laura O'Connor Hodgson.
As I thought about the best decision that I've made as a student at Georgia Tech, I realized that the entrepreneur in me can't think inside the box. So I'm going to share the 3 best decisions I made as a student at Georgia Tech. The first was to fail. I decided to study aerospace engineering because everyone told me it was the hardest. And that was very evident when I signed up for Advanced Rotor Theory, a graduate level course I had no business being in. I walked in for the final exam to find a 1-question exam that I had no idea how to go about solving. Instead of leaving the room, which was a very, very real option, I chose to sit down, take a deep breath, and start with what I knew. Because of that, to this day, when things are going horribly wrong at my company, the one thing everyone knows is you cannot freak me out. And that is a skill I gained by being willing to fail. I didn't actually fail, I got a C. The second best decision I made at Georgia Tech was to be uncomfortable. I was at Georgia Tech on a track and field scholarship, and I remember the day my advisor came to me and suggested that I apply to the Eagle Japan program where I would study in Japan. I'd never been outside the United States, and I thought it was the most ridiculous suggestion that I'd ever been given. But then she said to me, "When will you ever get the chance to do something you would never do?" And so off to Japan I went and participated in a program where I was not allowed to speak any English. My Japanese was so poor that my charades got really good before my language improved. What I gained from that was a knowledge that I loved the problem-solving side of engineering, and I loved people. It's because of that that I chose to go to business school and pursue a career in business. And the third best decision that I made as a student at Georgia Tech was to prioritize time with people over grades. As students, we often think that grades are the greatest predictor of success. But the reality is relationships are the greatest predictor of significance. And the greatest gift that Georgia Tech gave me was the relationships that I still celebrate and enjoy today. A perfect example of that is the fact that as a student, I met one of the most extraordinary alumni in Mark Dash. And I couldn't be happier than to share this celebration day with him today. Congratulations, Mark. It's been so great being friends for so long and knowing that our families are still friends. Thank you to Georgia Tech for all of the relationships.
Our next honoree is chemical engineer Erica Peterman.
Georgia Tech mentors always encouraged me to ask, why not? Early on, I wasn't sure what it meant to work in industry, and I had no clue of what it was like to work as a chemical engineer. So I followed the advice of a trusted mentor. For each of my summers, I searched for internship opportunities that gave me variety in companies, roles, and also locations. By the time I left tech, I had a better feel for what working in the real world was like, and I'd experienced 3 different working environments. I also knew that I wanted to have a career that was challenging, fun, and full of variety. That bug never left me. To this day, I relish opportunities to challenge the status quo, achieve greater things together with others, and to develop through new experiences. Thank you, Tech.
The next person we're honoring is one of the early graduates of our BME PhD program. Manu Platt, please join us on stage.
Probably the best decision I made as a student when I was getting my PhD was to continue to participate in tutoring, outreach, and mentoring at South Atlanta High School, all the way down in Carver, set up by the Black Grad Student Association. It gets really easy to be consumed in the research and the projects and what I was doing to advance me. But taking the time out, putting my experiments on ice, and driving down to South Atlanta to tutor students in physics and math, it was always worth the drive. Think back, someone did it for me to tutor me, so it was incumbent on me to do it for others. Giving back became a key part of my professional life, led me to starting Project Engages, and this has opened up so many doors in unexpected ways. So it's a reminder I have to others. Diversity work is not charity work. It's a great source of fresh ideas, new perspectives, and creative solutions. Plus, it's just the right thing to do.
Please join me in honoring Mechanical Engineering's Barry Edward Powell.
The best decision I made as a Georgia Tech student was to ask out a young lady named Darlene Honstetter on a date during my junior year. Darlene, who was an I student at the time, and I recently celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. And this award is as much for her as it is for me. Between Darlene, our daughter Brittany, and myself, I'm always proud to boast that the Powell family has 5 Georgia Tech engineering degrees in it. Darlene, thank you for your unwavering support through the years, and I look forward to our next chapter together.
Our next awardee is Wasim Selman, a civil engineering triple jacket.
The best decision I made as a student is to specialize in transportation. This decision gave me a rewarding opportunity to contribute in different ways. The impact transportation or mobility in general has on our society is tremendous. It's critical in creating thriving communities, providing equity, and improving safety, quality of life, and sustainability. I credit my decision to one of the greatest professors of all time, Dr. Peter Parsonson. Dr. P, as he's fondly called, has and continues to have a profound positive impact on me as a professional transportation engineer. It's educators like Dr. P who helped make Georgia Tech the great institution that it is. Thank you, Dr. P. Thank you, Georgia Tech, and go Jackets.
I'm pleased to invite ECE's Joel Stenson to join us on stage.
Besides making the initial decision to attend Georgia Tech, the best decision that I made as a student would probably be my decision to become a co-op student. The co-op program was an amazing way to kick the tires on real life while still under the protective cover of my family and Georgia Tech. It afforded me opportunities to experience different work environments that tested my preferences between large-scale industrial plants to the cubicle jungles found in urban office buildings to the clean rooms of a laboratory. These experiences helped to shape the choices that I would later need to make, with experience and exposure providing wise counsel. It also didn't hurt that, unlike many other types of interns, engineering interns and co-ops get paid. Actual, real, green U.S. dollars. However, the best decision that I made in those early years was falling head over heels for Kartika Stinson, the girl of my dreams that has now been my wife for almost 26 years. Without her love, support, prayers, and encouragement, none of this would have ever been possible.
And now, our final Distinguished Alumni Awardee, a civil engineering graduate, Lingbo Zhu.
As a student, the best decision I made is to join Dr. C.P. Wang's lab of material science for my thesis research at the end of my second year here, while still co-advised by Dr. Dennis Hans of School of Chemical and Biomolecular Engineering. This provided me the unique opportunity to do the interdisciplinary research to find something new. The training prepared me not only knowledge and skills, but supportive ways to face the challenges and find solutions with right work ethic. My career benefits from this training and continuous learning. While leading the development of lithium-ion battery for electric vehicles at CATU, I personally feel that the new breakthrough of problem solving is enabled by applying the interdisciplinary knowledges from the material, chemical engineering, electrical chemistry, to the coupled mechanical, electrical, thermal engineering. And this is what Georgia Tech is good at. Thank you.
Okay, let's have one more big hand for our 2024 Academy of Distinguished Engineering Alumni. All right, one more pause here. Enjoy dessert. We'll be back to induct our newest members of the Engineering Hall of Fame. Enjoy your dessert. All right, hey, well, good evening again. I hope you enjoyed dessert and more fellowship at your tables. We've come to the last group of awards for the evening and our most prestigious awards, inducting the newest members of the Engineering Hall of Fame. Hall of Famers are individuals holding an engineering degree or an honorary degree from Georgia Tech. They've taken their tech education and built businesses and helped communities. They exemplify the highest standards of engineering and have made their landmark contributions through their professional endeavors. Larika will read the names of each inductee, who will each have the opportunity to share some thoughts with us.
Honorees, as your name is called, please come to the banner side of the stage to accept your award take a photo, and make your remarks. After your remarks, please proceed to the rec for a group photo. Our first Hall of Fame inductee is Rodney Adkins, who earned his bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in 1981. Followed by a master's degree in 1983. In 2013, Georgia Tech recognized him with an honorary doctorate.
Okay, good evening. You know, this award really should have two names on it, because there was this young lady who has been a part of this journey from the beginning. As a matter of fact, I was a dual degree student transfer to Georgia Tech. Michelle was an incoming freshman. We grew up in the same neighborhood, 3 blocks apart. We had all of the same teachers, administrators. It was an arrangement. I was asked to look after her. And one thing you will conclude about me is I take my job seriously. So here we are. I met this young lady 45 years ago. I closed the deal to make it lifetime, and we celebrated 40 years of marriage. So this belongs to Michelle as well. So look, so when you reach this point in life, you know, I become much more reflective. And recognitions like this, you know, these are really positive, I'll say, reminders of your impact on your industry, your impact on your profession, and your impact on people. And, you know, I will continue to be and will always be a chronic daydreamer. I have always imagined myself in positions in terms of making a difference, and those visions that I would create would be a roadmap for me to aspire to follow. You know, I made many declarations as a kid, and one of the declarations I made, and I'm reminded of this, is that I wanted to be an engineer, and for some reason, this kid from South Florida wanted to attend Georgia Tech. So what once were visions, these are now priceless treasures, priceless. And I've been fortunate enough to amass a number of things here at Tech, you know, so I sort of go through my list, you know, 2 earned degrees, an honorary doctorate, you know, a distinguished service award, outstanding young engineer, the Greek Hall of Fame, the Lambda Delta chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi established here. We had a son that graduated from Georgia Tech, Michelle and I. He's actually here, Ryan. And of course, my wife and lifelong partner, Michelle. So Tech has been good to me. That's what 40 years look like. You know, I can think of one powerful word that has been my primary driving force, and that word is curiosity. You know, curiosity is powerful enough that Rod Atkins, I'm currently writing a book about how curiosity redefines the limits. So staying intellectually curious shapes us in untold ways, and it actually benefits everyone, you know, so as a student in the academic environment, you know, as an employee in the workplace, and even for retirees, any place and anywhere. I want to thank the College of Engineering for this prestigious and humbling recognition. And this is the latest addition to that priceless list, that priceless treasures. In closing, I want to leave you with my motto. I have a motto now. And it goes, let your thoughts shape your dreams. Let your dreams stretch your curiosity. Let your curiosity redefine your limits. Thank you very much.
Please welcome our next Hall of Famer, Michael Anderson, a 1979 industrial engineering graduate.
All right, good evening. So, first, let me just say, get some pleasantries out of the way and just say to our president, Angel, and his first lady, Dr. Beth Cabrera, to Provost McLaughlin, to my man here, Dean Rahim Bia, and one of my best buddies, Tom Fanning. Previous boss, but still a buddy. Wasn't bad as a boss either, so just want to say thank you so much. And to all the rest of the honorees as well, just a wonderful celebration of your efforts in behalf of Georgia Tech and what you've done for society as a whole. So thank you for allowing me to be a part of this. I really appreciate that. Just a couple of comments here. They told me 2 minutes. I don't know what everybody else got, but I got 2 minutes, and so I'm going to hurry and get through this. As a matter of fact, I'm down to 1:30 now, right? As a matter of fact, I was designated by our table to say, they told me what to say. They said, look, Mike, we're all from the group that's past our bedtime, so how about going up there making this short? I said, I qualify for that. I'll be happy to say that. So, yeah, not a problem. But look, some of these things I've got to say have already been said. Number 17, I believe, amongst all universities and research spending, outstanding, okay, wonderful. Number 3 in the computer and information sciences. Number 2, I heard 3 this evening, but I think I'm going to stick with number 2. In engineering, number 1 in aerospace, number 1 in industrial and systems engineering, and then number 1 overall, if you take out medical colleges, we're number 1 overall in spend. So that's who we are, folks. That's who Georgia Tech is, and I could not be more proud than to receive any kind of recognition from an institution that has those type of credentials. That is just wonderful. So thank you for allowing me to be here. The last part I'll just say is I want to recognize a few folks. I want to start with my parents, though, who are no longer here, who, despite at the time, because of policies, could not attend Georgia Tech, continued to inspire me and insisted that I attend Georgia Tech. So I love them to death for that. I wish they were here to see this. But I just want you to know I'm the product of Eddie and Lillian Anderson. To my wife, Andrine, I'm going to ask her to stand up and be recognized. Please stand up, sweetheart. I mean, I was going to do it anyway, but you guys put a lot of pressure on the guys. Everybody came up here was just kind of giving so many platitudes about their wife, so I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad I thought of it on my own, too, so that's a good thing. I have a son that also graduated from Georgia Tech as a double jacket as well, Chris Anderson. Many of the professors here took care of him. I really appreciate that. And also, I just want to just throw out an acknowledgement of Rita Breen, who's here, who was an honoree earlier. She received an award as well, but Rita's one of my work family folks that really made a difference in inspiring me to be the best that I could be also. So thank you, Rita, for your work as well. Last thing I'll say is that I'd be remiss as a member, actually the vice chair of the campaign steering committee for the Capitol campaign, to not appeal to all of you, as Rahim has done so eloquently already, and so others have as well, to appeal to you to help Georgia Tech to continue to be on this trajectory that we continuously are on. I mean, that's not done by mistake or by haphazardly. It's because people like yourselves and others have contributed their time, their talent, and their treasure. And we need more of that treasure as well. So hopefully, Jen Howes here has already been said before, but Jen, who's Vice President of Development, and some of her staff members are here, and they'll take cash, credit card, they'll take a pledge this evening, anything you've got, but it makes a big difference. Jen, raise your hand just in case people don't know who you are. Okay, thank you, Jen. But look, thank you so much for what you've done, and for me, Georgia Tech, because I can tell you, without the help of others, there's no possible way I could have achieved anything that I've achieved. So thank you for having me here, and go Jackets.
The next Hall of Fame honoree is industrial engineer Ronald Bierman.
So you obviously noticed that I asked Raheem and Tom to sign the program for me, and for all the other inductees here tonight, this will be on eBay tomorrow. Look, I don't expect that many folks here are really dying to hear whatever I might have to say tonight. I mean, all these guys out here, this is just overwhelming. And quite honestly, I'm not sure I have a lot of interest in hearing what I have to say either. But if you'll promise to give me your attention very briefly, I will promise to keep this very short. First, I want to publicly recognize my wife, Carol, my support, and my partner for the last 45 years, the most supportive, patient, and understanding person imaginable. Thank you. So when I was first accepted to and coming to Georgia Tech, I still can hear my dad telling me, Ronnie, I was Ronnie back then, so I can still hear him telling me, Ronnie, this is a great opportunity for you. He said, you have the chance to get educated well beyond your natural intelligence. And he was right. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I was pretty good in math and science, and I couldn't string two coherent sentences together in a book report. but this is not about me. It's about Georgia Tech, which has given me and so many others here opportunities that have been life-altering. The industrial engineering disciplines that I learned here have been my foundation for business and for understanding how to recognize problems, how to break them down, and how to solve problems. You know, every day we're faced with opportunities that are just disguised as challenges. And Georgia Tech was and is one of the biggest. It's an opportunity like very few others, and I take it now as one of my and my wife's opportunities and responsibilities to try to play some small role in opening up that same chance for others here at Georgia Tech today. And if we can take away anything else from this evening, I hope it's that listening to all these bright and accomplished people, we'll just be reminded what a great gift Georgia Tech is. And that we can all find or continue with our own way to help others ascend to and from this great gift that is Georgia Tech. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.
Please welcome to the stage the next Hall of Fame inductee, Marcus Dash. He earned 2 aerospace engineering degrees, a bachelor's in 1966, and a master's 2 years later.
Good evening. I have spent my entire career wanting to use a teleprompter. And here I am, and it says nothing that's of relevance to me. Now, the dean made these incredible speech earlier, and I was very impressed because he did it entirely without notes. Well, guess what? It's on there. So, I am really old. This is the way I do things. In a sense, I'm probably more comfortable with this, but these things are quite... Our next new Hall of Fame is D. Fort. Fort, you're up next. So. You know, when I gave speeches on Wall Street, I realized that there was one fatal time slot, and that was right after lunch. And God forbid you had to give a speech where you had a presentation where they dimmed the lights, because you would not have a lot of attention. I'd like to share with you a little bit of information that perhaps is not well known. This is, I think, the 7th time that I've been on this side of the microphone at a Georgia Tech College of Engineering awards banquet. Because back in the early 90s, a fellow named John White became the Dean of Engineering. And John, who was very thoughtful, his first thing was he hired the first College of Engineering Development Officer, Marta Garcia, who's sitting over here. And John and Marta together came up with the concept of putting together a small group of alumni to listen to John's ideas about how he would take the College of Engineering, which was at that point a top 10 College of Engineering. And by the way, if somebody ever tells you they're top 10 in something, what they mean is they're not number 2. They're not number 7. They are number 10, okay? So we were a top 10 College of Engineering, and John wanted to make us into a top 5 College of Engineering. And John came up with a very detailed program about how to do that. And he wanted to put together a group of alumni to whom he could kind of bounce off these ideas. And so Marta contacted several of us. I was at the time working in New York, and asked us if we would listen to John. We were more than happy to do so. At that time, I was very young and inexperienced. So as a result, when John made his presentation, I asked a lot of questions. Life lesson number 1, no good deed goes unpunished. Shortly later, John called me and said, I want to form a College of Engineering advisory board, and I want you to be the chair. Lesson number 1. So I said, of course, what are you going to say? I said, yes. At the time, we had no awards banquet or anything like that. We didn't even have much of a College of Engineering advisory board, in fact, and I was the chair. So a year or so later, John came up with a great idea of having an awards banquet. And John said, as the chair of the College of Engineering Advisory Board, and by then I was still the chair of the College of Engineering Advisory Board, more about that in a minute, he said, would you please join me on the stage? So that's why I said, I've been here a lot. And in fact, I was here for 6 years. So life lesson number 2 is that when you find you're in a position where you are in a role, particularly in nonprofit, where you are the chairman of something, the first thing you want to do is find a replacement. I was lousy at that. So I was chair for 7 years. That lesson was learned very well when I, later on in my career, I taught at the Scheller College, what is now the Scheller College, and I found my replacement, who was Lara Hodgson. So Lara mentioned earlier, that was a lesson learned, Lara. So anyway, that was why I say that I've been here before. Now, I am very proud to be in this position. I've had, if you read my resume, I've had basically 3 careers. The first of those careers was natural because I came to Georgia Tech. I was born in England in 1944. Yes, I'm really old, okay? And I was born in 44, and I had always been interested in space, even before Sputnik. I went to high school as a freshman. Sputnik came along. So when I got to Georgia Tech, I wanted to be involved in the space program, aerospace engineering, obviously, although it was aeronautical at that point. And after I'd been here, after I'd survived my freshman year here, I went to work for NASA in the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, fulfilling my lifetime dream of actually being in the space program. Several things about that were memorable. First of all, when I joined NASA, it was a young organization. I can't emphasize to you, the best analogy is Silicon Valley. At 5 o'clock, nobody went home. The President, Kennedy, had said we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. We all said, okay, sure, we're kids, why not? Because when you're young, nothing is impossible. So we went ahead and tried to do it, and in fact did it. The second thing that was interesting about my experience at NASA was that, as I told you, I'm British. When my mother was pregnant with me, a V-2 rocket hit 100 yards from my house in London, exploded, of course, knocked out all of our windows. So when I was working at NASA Marshall, building 4200, going up the elevator with Werner von Braun, it was kind of an interesting experience, let's put it that way. The second career after my work at Marshall was that I went to Wall Street. At that time, there were virtually nobody at Wall Street who was like me, that is somebody who had any kind of quantitative background. So basically anybody who was that kind of background would be called a rocket scientist because, you know, quantum physicist was kind of hard. That's a little bit of a mouthful. So rocket science is a lot easier. So I was always introduced as a rocket scientist on Wall Street. When I took my third career, which was in many ways my best career, I came to work after I retired from Goldman, came down to Atlanta, and a fellow named Bob Hawkins, who was at that time the dean of what is now the Scheller College, asked me to teach a course in investment banking with him. And that was my introduction to being an adjunct professor, which is now a program called the Professor of the Practice. Bill Todd, sitting in front of me, is one of the major proponents and has been a professor of the practice for 13 years, Bill, I believe. That gave me an opportunity, which was the greatest opportunity of my life, to interact with the young people who are what Georgia Tech is really all about. Sitting at my table over here, and I'd like him to stand up, is a fellow named Joe Durante. Joe? He is a second-year mechanical engineering student. This is what Georgia Tech does. We have, with all due respect, Dean, we have great research, we make a lot of money, but educating people like Joe is what this is all about. And I had the opportunity to teach young people like Joe for 10 years. If any of you have that opportunity, I urge you to take it. It is the most exciting, enjoyable, wonderful experience of my life. That's what we do. Thank you. I'd like to thank, first of all, the dean, the staff, the faculty of the College of Engineering. I'd like to congratulate my fellow honorees on their wonderful accomplishments. I would also like to thank my family and my wife of 56 years, Patty Dash. And I'd like to thank all of you for listening to my remarks.
Our next new Hall of Famer is D. Fort Flowers, a mechanical engineer from the class of 1983.
Chill House Mix.
Mark, I see just what you mean. So I like Mark, I'm use the old school. But I'm going to adjust as I talk because of some of the things I've heard. But the first thing is really about kind of what a tech education has done. And you know, Mark talked about his 3 careers, and like Mark, and you know, I've known Mark for a while, and I've always wanted to say like Mark. Because he is one of my absolute heroes. But like Mark, I've been out of the field of engineering for a very long time. And I've been in finance, management of businesses, and frankly, the math is just a lot easier there. It says I haven't had to solve any tensor problems. I haven't had to do fluid dynamics in a very long time, and the world is better because of that. But I have, in everything I've done, I've tried to bring engineering rigor. I've thought about first principles, and that has been valuable to me. But that really isn't the most valuable part of my tech education. What tech taught me was about self-reliance and perseverance. The other thing it taught me, which has been often to my detriment, is to not be intimidated by challenges. And so I'm going to pick on Mark for just a second here, because I've served on the Tech Foundation, and I've presented investment results to the foundation over time. And one of the challenges that you have when you make those presentations is that people are given the opportunity to question and challenge what you've said. And the only time I've ever been intimidated in those meetings is when Mark has raised his hands. And so I hope I've done okay thus far. I too, I'm humbled to join the friends I have who have been honored in this way in the past. And then when I look at the friends that are being honored this year, they are extraordinary in what they've accomplished, but they're also very extraordinary in what they've done for tech. The final thing I'd like to say before I give some thanks is I'd like to brag on the School of Mechanical Engineering. I've been sitting with Bill Wepfer and Devesh Rajan, and the Mechanical Engineering School, under their leadership, has grown in its national reputation and its international reputation. U.S. News now puts us at number 2. Devesh tells me he's waiting for that to move up one more notch. I am very familiar with the school that U.S. News puts at the top spot. And I will tell you, our program and our graduates are superior to that school. It is just a matter of time before the world realizes that. So Raheem, thank you. Tom, it's nice to join you in this group. And it's just really great. It really feels great to be honored by a school for which I have so much pride. Thank you.
Next up, let's welcome ISYE's Andrea LaLiberty.
Well, good evening, everyone. Here's what you need to know about me. I really like microphones, but I'm going to try to keep this short and talking into it. I'm going to start when I received an email from Raheem saying I was being honored with this. And I was in shock. If it had been a phone call, I would have been speechless. And those of you who know me know that doesn't happen very often. So just first of all, let me start by saying thank you for such an honor and for the recognition. It did make me have to kind of go through and process my life and what I've done with my engineering degree to see how have I made the difference. And I'd like to share a little bit of that. So first of all, the education I received from Georgia Tech with both my bachelor's and master's in IE allowed me to have a career, a professional career that I never thought I would have, nor could I ever have imagined. I went across the world. I did amazing things. When I joined, majority of that time was with Coach. When I joined our sales were just over $100 million. When I left 19 years later, it was just under $2 billion. And we went public, so that was a good thing too. But from that, I learned a lot. I took that knowledge and came back to Georgia Tech as a professor of the practice. And Leslie Sharp has told me twice, so I think it's correct, that I was the first woman professor of the practice. But yeah, who knew? So my thanks to ISYE for taking me in. I was here, I taught for a little over 5 years. It was time to get out once again. But I like to think, and I hope that I was able to share my knowledge and my education and what I had learned, what I had done, and the passion I had for it to students that now have gone on. And actually Frederick Grimm, who was receiving an award tonight, came up to me and said, "I remember you when you were a professor of the practice," which was like really cool. I think I've been able to use what I've done and make a difference in the volunteer work I've done, whether it was as chair of the Alumni Association, as a trustee on the Georgia Tech Foundation, just kind of showing up at Georgia Tech events and wearing the colors. I do not wear red. I don't own anything red. And now doing it where I'm actually now chair of a hospital foundation board in Jacksonville, so where I can make that difference. And being a Georgia Tech engineer allows you to do a lot of these things. I think I've used it also, I know I've used it in my personal life. When I was building my first home, my general contractor saw me reading a blueprint. And he's like, "You know how to read a blueprint?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm an engineer from Georgia Tech. Of course I can." And I think he would rather that I had not been able to read it, but I could. And then the last area I'll say that I've recently had the opportunity to use it in a way is in 2020 when I found out I had breast cancer. And as I went through the treatments, and really being able to ask the questions, say, what does this mean? They were showing me charts and had standard deviations, like if you do this, this will happen. And I'm very happy to be able to say I'm not only a survivor, but I'm a thriver after breast cancer. So I've had many blessings in my life. I actually have a tattoo. I got it at age 62, and it says blessed. I count this as another blessing in my life. I thank you, and I need to do a special call out to my nephew, Chris, who came in from Seattle. Our first 24 hours together here wasn't quite what we expected, but we've come through that, and it means the world to me that you're here. My thanks to Georgia Tech. You are a family, and I will continue to represent and care about Georgia Tech and to say to hell with Georgia every time I can. Thank you.
Now, let's welcome back to the Alumni Awards stage, Gary May. Electrical Engineering graduate, 2021 honorary doctorate recipient, and former Dean of Engineering.
You'll be happy to hear that I'm a rule follower, and I was told 2 minutes. I want to thank Dean Bia. I still like saying that. Dean Bia, when you're the first, you don't want to be the last, so I'm proud of him. And I am truly honored to receive this recognition and join the ranks of such an esteemed group. I'd like to acknowledge and congratulate all of my fellow Hall of Fame inductees, and I'm particularly gratified to share the stage with my good friends and people who I've admired like Rod Atkins and Mike Anderson. Um, it is good to be back home. It doesn't seem like we've been gone 7 years. My years at Georgia Tech defined so much of my life. It is really impossible to reduce to words, mere words, the impact that this institution has had on me. In a real sense, I grew up here. I started as an undergraduate student, a teenager away from home for the first time, and over the years, I grew into other roles: faculty member, executive assistant to the president, chair of the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering, and finally, dean of the College of Engineering. And during that time, I also learned what it takes to be an educator, a scholar, and a leader from many exceptional mentors, including people like Roger Webb and Don Giddens, and especially Wayne Clough, whose example taught me how to be an effective university president. Let me also just mention very briefly my gratitude to Ms. Lawana Ellis, who is here and who supported me for 12 years. Future Deans Steve McLaughlin and Raheem Bia, you're welcome. I'm also eternally indebted to Augustine Esseboy, the first black engineering professor here at Georgia Tech, who took me under his wing as a student and became one of my greatest role models. Austin's influence and support continues to this day. In October, UC Davis, where I work now, announced the creation of the Professor Emeritus Augustine Esseboy and Chancellor Gary S. May Endowed Award Engineering Diversity. This endowment is yet another way of continuing our mutual commitment to build diversity in STEM, even in the face of the current climate of what I will call diversity adversity. And I will continue to fight this fight undaunted. In closing, I would like to dedicate this incredible honor to all of those who have contributed to my education, my career, and my success, for their influence and support that has made this moment possible. I would be remiss if I did not thank my mother, Gloria, whose health is failing, but who started me on the road to academic excellence. I would also like to express my undying love and gratitude to my wife and fellow Yellow Jacket, Lachelle May, who has now put up with me for nearly 30 years, believe it or not. Finally, I want to acknowledge the support of our wonderful family, our daughters, Simone, who could not be here tonight, and Jordan, who is here, and her significant other, Charlie Lowe. Thank you all. Go Jackets.
Our next Hall of Famer is MSC's Robert Edward Sanders, a triple jacket with degrees in ceramic engineering and metallurgy.
Thank you. I'd like to express my thanks to Dr. Natalie Stinglin from the Materials Science and Engineering School, and also to our Dean of Engineering and all of the staff and people who made this night possible. So thank you very much. Let me first say I'm really humbled by all of the past recipients of this award. It's just amazing to hear your stories, and I'm afraid I don't have that much interesting to tell, but I'll give you a few thoughts here. Normally I'm teaching class, so I'm looking for my PowerPoint slides, but I guess they're right here. So first of all, I just want to start with what did I get from my parents and my family? Then what did I get from Georgia Tech? What did I get from 30 to 40 years in the industry? And then quickly, what's next? But anyway, both of my parents were public school teachers. They worked in public schools for more than 30 years, and I guess the expectations that I would go to college were just never stated, but always there. But their most valuable gift to me was a set of World Book encyclopedias. Now, maybe you guys don't know that in the 1960s, encyclopedias were real books, and they took up about 4 feet on a shelf, and I would sit there and look at any kind of subject that was interesting. And so I really got my interest in science and history from just thumbing through these glossy paged books, and so that was one of the gifts I remember most from my parents. So going to Georgia Tech was, being from South Carolina, I had to choose between Clemson and Georgia Tech, so I obviously made the right decision. I lived in North Augusta, so I was right on the border. So at any rate, I spent 8 years at Georgia Tech. In Georgia Tech, the main thing I learned from Georgia Tech, I didn't realize I had learned that until later, that tech teaches you how to learn. The things that you have when you walk out the door in terms of knowledge is not always the most valuable to the industry, but it's what they can teach you and what you can absorb and put to good use and use that to make a useful product or a more competitive enterprise in some ways. So I think that the skills they teach us or taught me at Georgia Tech were really, for me, the most valuable things was what is the capacity of somebody. So I always appreciated that most. So the connections I made at Georgia Tech led me to the Aluminum Company of America. I spent more than 30 years in research and development and got a chance to just do amazing things across everything from aluminum cans to airplanes and so forth. So I really got to learn a lot. Now, what it also taught me was how to communicate, and it also led me to realize, now wait a minute, maybe I'm genetically supposed to be a teacher. And so from that standpoint, I started getting involved in training and teaching and made other connections, and I've been doing teaching on and off for basically the last 25 years. Okay, so the other thing, see on my notes here, the other thing that's happening this year is my 50-year anniversary for my graduation for undergraduate school. So I get a good chance to reflect, okay, where does that leave me after 50 years? And it's really a number of things. The deep appreciation for the many people who've taught me, mentored me, and really made it possible for me to have whatever accomplishments I had during that period. And I really have to thank my wife, Jocelyn. We got 40 years together this past October, and really whatever I accomplished would not have been possible without her love and support, and most importantly, patience. All right, so that I really got to emphasize that. So really for what I'm left with at 50 years and whatever I'm going to do from now on is really some obligation to pass along whatever I've learned to another generation. I mean, I inherited really good technology in the aluminum industry from the best company there was at the time, and now I feel obliged to sort of pass that on to the next generation. So I'm happy to be about doing that, and I'll always appreciate and just treasure the part that Georgia Tech played in my success, whatever it is. So thank you very much.
Chemical engineering alumnus James Robert Spencer is the next to join us on stage.
Raheem, Tom, you didn't get the 8-track tape that I sent you? If the year of graduation is any evidence of your age, I'm the oldest one in this bunch, and I'm past my bedtime. I was born in Northwest Florida. I heard of Georgia Tech all my life and decided I was going to come up here and study. I chose chemical engineering, which could have been a mistake, but I made it through and loved it. Went out and worked for a while with Monsanto and decided to go to medical school. And now look what's happening. I was a pioneer. Medicine and engineering are merging, and all kinds of things are being done right here at Georgia Tech with Emory, and it's happening all over. So I got through with the engineering and decided that I would go into medicine. And went to the University of Florida, got that over, and then I had to go into the, had to do my time in the military. I was in the Coast Guard. Didn't wear a uniform, didn't salute anybody because the Coast Guard has the CDC. So I went to the CDC after I got my medical school from University of Florida and found that I'd been assigned to set up a laboratory that would test the blood of about 7,000 men who were having their propensity to go and have atherosclerosis, and going to try some medicines to make them feel better. That didn't work so well, but we got the laboratory set up, and guess what? Coulter was just coming out with their cell counter, and they're very, very well known in this area. So I said, I think I will go into laboratory medicine. That's pathology. And so that's what I did. I went into pathology I went for a while up to Johns Hopkins and a while to the University of Alabama. Got my boarding in pathology, went to Sarasota, back to Florida. Not the same part of Florida, but probably a little bit better part. Sarasota is a nice place to be. Please don't come down there. We've got a lot of people there already. And so I did that. I went down there. I worked for 42 years. I set up a laboratory there for the Sarasota Memorial Hospital. I had 3 pathologists, including me, and when I left 12 years ago, after 42 years, there were 10 pathologists, and the hospital had grown from 150 beds to 1,200 beds. And it was a wonderful time that I had there, and I attribute what I learned here at Georgia Tech to my being able to accomplish something there. And so I say, go Tech. Thank you very much.
The next Hall of Famer we're honoring tonight is Friedel Stuve from CEE.
Feels like Hollywood, the Oscars. Hope I don't keep you too long. You know, it's funny, 1966, a very young kid from the island of Puerto Rico took his first jet plane to come to Georgia Tech. Great life in those 4 years, and Atlanta was a very exciting city. Learned to solve problems. I was very good in math and sciences. I was lousy in languages. So that's engineering. I decided to make a life out of building stuff. Building because the buildings would speak for me. So, you know, those 4 years were great, and they taught me, number one, how to solve problems and how to keep learning. Learning to keep, which I have never stopped. Then sometime later, Martha Garcia, many years back, recruited me. Latins were very bad in philanthropy. And Tech needed to teach the Latins philanthropy. So I was a little bit helpful in those sense. And ever since, Martha has been in my side. So thank you, Martha. And we have had a good time, first in the advisory board of the College of Engineering, and later in GTAP, which I became chairman. So I have many people to thank in my life. I have learned philosophy as I speak, and through the philosophy, I learned that engineering and philosophy could do very well together. So I've been very successful by building infrastructure to make people happy, and I keep doing that. So as we go, we have to learn that at the end, we just want to make a happier world. And you know, there's a lot of chances to do that. So we still have a long way to go. But I want to thank especially Angel Cabrera, his wife Beth, Dean McCoughlin, Provost McCoughlin, past Provost Rafael Braz. He's also very important in this equation. I want, of course, Martha Garcia. I want to thank Don Webster, the Dean of Civil Engineering. And Don has always been very nice to me, and we have very nice conversations. I would like to thank Bill Sangster. He was the Dean of the School of Civil Engineering while I was here, and Bill was always super nice with me. As I balanced my life between studies and the life in Atlanta, which was very good, believe me. So, of course, as you go to life, my wife, Carolina, she's my partner in adventure, believe me. We have great adventures, and we have made a good life together. But most important, what's life if your sons and daughters are not better? So tonight, I have my daughter Ceci here and her husband Ricardo. But first of all, I want a big applause for my grandchildren. I'm trying to convince them that Georgia Tech is the best. So please stand up, Ricardo, Carlos, and Victoria. They were getting some very good photos of the Rambling Wreck. So get all your grandchildren to come to Tech. I'm doing my best. So I want to thank you all. And first of all, I want to tell you, I'm really proud to be a Rambling Wreck and a hell of an engineer. And to hell with Georgia. Thank you very much.
And our final Hall of Fame inductee for the 2024 year is ECE graduate Alexander Schlom.
see prompters, but nothing for me. Good evening. Since I'm the last, I decided to speak for about 30 minutes, because you guys, I hope, still have patience. Anyways, again, good evening, everyone. First and foremost, thank you, Dean Rahim and the College of Engineering for hosting this exquisite event and honoring me along the many distinguished award recipients. Thank you, President Cabrera, Steve, you guys. I worked with you, I know you, so you're the best that Georgia Tech has now. Special thanks to ECE professors who taught me, Conley, Schaefer, Alford, Dr. Webb, as well as Director of Development, Jeff Colbert, who's here tonight. Thank you, family and friends, for celebrating this special honor with me tonight. Most of all, an infinite and forever thank you to my incredible wife, Halina, of 50 years, who's here tonight. My lifetime partner and a best friend since 1965. I was only 14, so yeah, but still together. The company we built, Melita International, and its many products have improved and safeguarded people's lives for decades. It all started in 1979 with yet another Georgia Tech professor, assistant professor John Lucas, who popped up at that time with an answering machine, believe it or not, asked me to modify so the answering machine could make outgoing calls. I told him, are you crazy? It was relays, there was switches, no electronics. How can you modify? Anyways, while working at Lockheed and studying for my master's degree here at Tech, I created the very first of its kind telecomputer supporting 4 telephone lines and a single agent. This technology opened many, many doors. For instance, we later created an intelligent crew dispatching solution that helped restore power and keep people alive during freezing temperatures. We also deployed critically needed solutions for blood banks, for police trying to locate missing persons, for nuclear and chemical spills, and a truant system notifying parents when the child did not show up for school. You guys need to thank me for that, for your children and grandchildren. They are safer today. I know I'm bragging. The caller ID invention, it was a discovery actually, and then invention, initially presented customer information on an agent terminal screen, as telephones at that time in the early 80s did not have a display. It was also adopted for text messaging. Predictive dialing innovation enables each agent to do the work of nearly 4 people. These innovations and many others revolutionized people interactions, leading to the creation of the call center industry, which today serves billions of people across the globe. Georgia Tech helped me achieve all this and much, much more. But it almost didn't happen to me. So let me just close by telling you how I ended up here. As a Jewish family persecuted in the post-World War II, my parents, Holocaust survivors, we waited in Poland for the day the government would eventually let us leave. Thankfully, it happened in 1969, and we left in a hurry with minimal belongings. Our citizenship was taken away, and our travel documents indicated we were escapees. So imagine going through borders. We were nobody. After 7 months in transit through Vienna, later on through Rome, Italy. U.S. government issued entry visas, while the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta offered us sponsorship. Working as an inventory boy, the first job in 1970, my parents decided to contact Mrs. Eisenstein, herself a volunteer and a Holocaust survivor, for advice. She suggested we visit Dean Dahl at Georgia Tech, hoping he may help me get in. So we went to the tower, and while she spoke to Dean with profound emotions, she suddenly began to cry. I didn't understand why and what happened because I didn't know English language. Pulling me aside, her face smeared with mascara, she put out the finger into my face and said in Polish, "Ty musisz mocno studiować, a jak nie," which means you better study hard or else. I had no idea. It really, really scared me because, you see, I really, my grandchildren are here, two of them. I never studied. I didn't do much homework at all because my life till 17, 18 was music. So anyway, dedicating every available moment to studying, I first took courses like calculus, physics, chemistry, digital circuits. Overcoming many, many challenges, I did okay. And after 11 straight quarters, in March of '73, I obtained Bachelor's of Sciences in Electrical Engineering with a high honors. And the rest is history. Miraculously, I was given an opportunity to do something really meaningful. Many took a chance along the way. My family and I are forever grateful. And we love being part of Georgia Tech, supporting the dreams of many students. So I came to Tech as a 19-year-old, not knowing the language, minimal education, and tonight I am saying humongous thank you. Georgia Tech, go. Thank you. Thank you.
Another remarkable class, Hall of Fame honorees. It's been a pleasure hearing from you this evening, and thank you all for carrying the banner of Georgia Tech Engineering to such heights. Please join me in one more round of applause for our Engineering Hall of Fame alumni. And now it's my pleasure to turn the stage back over to the Dean for the night's final presentation.
All right, we are almost there. Almost. Not quite, but almost. So again, my sincere thanks to you, Tom, and to Lorica for your wonderful work this evening. Tom was honored last year, and then he got himself a job this year, so I got a big pool to choose from. Our final honor of this evening is the Dean's Appreciation Award, which I have the privilege of presenting to special individuals or groups who've made extraordinary contributions to the advancement of the College of Engineering. This year's honoree has made it possible for 60 talented and driven students to pursue Georgia Tech degrees with little or no debt. They are leaders in student groups, our maker spaces, and in our schools. And already we're seeing them go on to do incredible things after Tech. They're going to Google, SpaceX, Microsoft, Coca-Cola, and many, many more amazing organizations. They're also being recruited to top grad programs, including ours. Tonight is my distinct pleasure to celebrate the impact of the A. James and Alice B. Clark Foundation, whose partnership with us is transforming the lives of our students. The Clark Scholars Program welcomes 10 engineering students each year to a close-knit community forged around scholarship, leadership, and community service. They are top students who truly see the world beyond themselves, who will thrive at Tech, and who have demonstrated financial need, just like me as an undergraduate student. The Clark Scholars Program, the Clark Scholars, lean on each other and help each other. Like all Georgia Tech students, they get involved in everything you can imagine, but they always have a home base with this group. As many of you know, expanding access, especially in this campaign, expanding access to a world-class Georgia Tech education is always important to me, and it's critical. To me, it's critical to our president. We don't want finances to be the barrier that stops a budding Yellow Jacket from joining the community. Again, if you can get accepted, if you can fight through 60,000 applications, you should be able to attend Georgia Tech. The Clark Foundation has helped us make this a reality for these 60 students, and a number of them are here with us tonight. Before we present the Dean's Appreciation Award, I want to get our Clark Scholars to just stand and wave and be recognized if you guys are still here. All right, so Natalie, I'm going to talk about you for just a bit before I call you up, so you can stay seated because there's lots of great things I'm going to say about you. So Natalie Grandison is the Director of Higher Education and Strategy, and she's with us tonight from the foundation. Natalie, your vision and work to build the Clark Scholars Program is transforming lives here at Georgia Tech and at 10 other universities. It's also transforming the College of Engineering. These scholars have been active voices in shaping the student experience across engineering. You and the foundation are tireless advocates for and on behalf of students, ensuring that they thrive in the classroom and beyond. I am privileged to welcome, and actually before I welcome Natalie, I'm going to do, so the number one thing that you should never do in the workplace is surprise your boss. And with that, I'm going to surprise my boss and invite him to the stage. I know I'm in lots of trouble. It's late, he won't remember. The reason I've invited Provost McLaughlin up is because he was the Dean of Engineering, one of the deans that helped establish this program. And I think it's only fitting that Natalie gets a picture with both of us. So Natalie, now, if you can come to the stage, we want to celebrate you.
All right, thank you everybody for staying. It is an honor to be here to accept this award on behalf of the A. James and Alice B. Clark Foundation. Thank you to Dean Bia, and congratulations to all the other honorees this evening. On behalf of the Clark Foundation, I would also like to thank the Georgia Tech Clark Scholars team. Lauren Morton and David Torello, please stand for a round of applause. Also, a special thanks to President Cabrera and Provost McLaughlin, and also Larry Jacobs for your work to make this partnership such a great success. As some of you may know, Mr. Clark was a first-generation college student. He was able to earn his engineering degree at the University of Maryland because of a full scholarship. He never forgot that that investment allowed him to have the opportunities, and wanted to make sure throughout his life to provide that same opportunity to other well-deserving students. And the foundation continues that legacy as a priority through scholarship investments. Thus far, nearly $500 million in my portfolio has been dedicated towards scholarship initiatives. The foundation's relationship with Georgia Tech actually began in 1985 when Mr. Clark and his wife Alice established a scholarship in the School of Civil Engineering in honor of his father-in-law, Samuel Bratton. In 2018, the foundation was fortunate to partner with Georgia Tech to establish the Clark Scholars Program. This is when I got to meet Molly Croft, who during her time here at Tech worked closely with David and I to ensure the Clark Scholars Program was serving students in the most holistic way possible. And I'm so happy that Molly is also here with us today. Thank you, Molly. Each of our 11 Clark Scholars programs are unique. However, the Clark Scholars Program here at Georgia Tech stands out for its individualized approach to student support. Notably, David and Lauren are dedicated to prioritizing the mental well-being of each Clark Scholar. Because if they have that personalized care, the students have an environment that can foster their optimal support for their academic pursuits to be the most successful that they can be in whatever career path they choose. The pride that the Tech Clark Scholars and their leaders exude is infectious. The Clark Scholars Program leaders are committed to cultivating the scholars, not just as engineers, but as future leaders, innovators, and stewards of their community. Georgia Tech Clark Scholars are encouraged to get involved in leadership opportunities, develop their entrepreneurial spirit, and expand their identity as part of their greater Atlanta community through cultural passport experiences. Georgia Tech's values and true commitment to their students is clear whenever we speak to a Clark Scholar. I want to give a special acknowledgement to Dean Bia for his foresight in considering how the distinctive components of the Clark Scholars Program, alongside its innovative allocations for aid strategies and capacity to provide additional resources to students, can be applied across the College of Engineering. This exemplifies the true impact of the Foundation's philanthropy, igniting transformative change in how Clark Scholars are supported, and thus enabling leaders like Dean Bia and President Cabrera to institute practices, policies, and programs that afford every student a Clark Scholar-like experience. We are proud to partner with Georgia Tech, and we look forward to seeing how Georgia Tech continues to rise to the challenge of making a high-quality higher education accessible and affordable for all students. So thank you very much for this honor, and a special thanks to some of my Clark Scholars who are here with us today, and the Clark Scholars who are alumni as well. Thank you all, and enjoy your evening.
All right, we are at that time, folks. You've made it to the end. Thank you again, Natalie, too, and the Clark Foundation, and congratulations to all of the talented engineers that we have honored tonight.